Do you know?
Dennis is still sick. He will not be here.
He was able to get out of the house for lunch. Has there been any update on his,
I don't have any knowledge of that. My trainer told me that he was sick and he's going to be out tonight.
Have you been able to talk to Dennis?
I've told you what I'm going to tell you about it for tonight.
Rick, what do you remember about that 2014 playoff series against these guys?
What do I think about it?
What do you remember about it?
Oh, it was a blast. You know, it really was. It was a great series. You know, there were some great games. There were some great moments. You know, I think for both teams. And you know, we got to Game 7, and it just we kind of ran out of gas, and you know, they got over the hump in that series, in that game. And you know, the thing went on to win it. So
You were the only team to give them trouble that year, or in that playoff.
well, you know, we had a terrific group of guys. We had a resourceful bunch. Like we were platooning 3 centers that year. Yeah, it was a fun team to be involved with, and everybody, you know, really played their tails off.
Do you remember an adjustment that you made to kind of, Greg, I remember back in 2014, you said you're the only staff that kept them up at night because they were trying to counter what y'all were doing. Do you remember any adjustment that you made that maybe threw them off a little bit?
Not that I'm going to talk about.
Just in case you see him again?
No, I mean, look, there's a lot of things that go on in a 7-game series. That's 10 or 11 or 12 days or whatever it was. I don't remember all the details, but it was, you know, it was a series, you know, worthy of the Southwestern Division at that time. That was how competitive it was, you know, with them and us and Houston, Memphis. You know, everybody was pretty good.
Have you learned anything over the years about coaching Greg? It really takes to beat him.
Well, you gotta have good players, and you gotta hope they miss some shots. You know, for my money, he's as good a coach as I've ever seen in this league or any league, and you know, he's a great friend to coaches. You know, he's a guy that has stood up for a lot of guys and helped a lot of guys out when they're going through some difficult times, myself included, going back several years. And so, you know, he's held in the highest esteem by the coaching fraternity for a very good reason.
Greg, James O'Grady will talk about valuing. They're one of the few teams that value every possession, and you have to make sure that you match that in order to beat them. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I mean, they're a team that historically does not beat themselves. So, you know, you've got to do the little things. You got to take care of the ball. You got to rebound it. And so tonight that'll be a big challenge. You look at their numbers; everything's very consistent. You know, they're great players are playing great. Their role players are doing their jobs, and so it's a lot of work. A lot of work trying to beat them.
What's your process for arresting a guy? How much input do you get from the players and medical staff? How do you go about determining that?
You mean like resting him for an entire game?
Yeah.
Okay. You know, sometimes, you know, we'll talk about it well in advance, looking at the schedule for like the month. And, you know, the way the schedule is now, it is more spread out. There are fewer back-to-backs. So I don't think anybody's running into it nearly as much as we did 3 or 4 years ago. And there are different rules now associated with it, so you've got to follow those. So, you know, I think that's the basic explanation of it. And then, you know, if you got a situation where you've got a veteran guy, you know, like a Dirk or a Harris or one of those guys, and you got a back-to-back situation, and then the front end, you know, they don't play as many minutes, or it's not as taxing as it maybe it could have been, then maybe a guy plays if he's feels good and all that kind of stuff. So it's just it's not always set in stone.
When a guy is slumping, is that one of the first things you look at, is just what his state is, stamina-wise, and if his grind has kind of gotten to him a little bit?
Yeah, it's not as much a statistical thing as just looking and seeing how they're running, how their wind is. There can be parts of the season where there's a mental there's a mental fatigue, so that's got to be taken into consideration as well. So, January is usually one of the tough times, and right now we have a situation where we have some days between games for a little bit of a stretch here. So that always helps, but then that also means that you're going to get slammed again. So we just you got to kind of work along and try to manage it as best you can.
What have you thought about that lineup of Maxi at the 4 and Luka at point?
Well, I've liked I've liked how it's helped our rebounding. It's really extra size at both positions. Maxi's been a productive per minute player really ever since he got his feet under him last year, and so and this year he's improved the shooting and stuff. So I like it. Again, I think it's something where managing minutes is an important thing. In Maxi's situation, that's why the other night I was kind of playing him and Finney-Smith, in short bursts, one after the other, giving Durant a different look and keeping those guys as fresh as possible.
Luka's in the low 30s minutes is, could you ramp that up or
Well, he's been I think for the year he's low 30s. If you look at his last 5 games, I think he's been around 35 a couple times. And we're substituting. I'm substituting him differently right now, playing him some of the second unit, which has some advantages to it as well in terms of keeping a guy fresh and those kinds of things. So, we got to a point last week where it was time to look at some different things, and so we are, and we'll keep adjusting as we need to.
What do you like about Luka with that second unit? What do you think? What advantages does it bring you?
Just adds another playmaker, which is good. And right now in the NBA, playmakers really carry the day offensively, just in terms of their importance. We'll see. It's a feel thing. I've talked to Luka about it. There may be some nights we go more conventional. If there's a good rhythm going with that first group and he's really involved in it or something like that, there's always a chance that on the fly that we can adjust. But he's aware, and some of the other guys whose rotations have been effective. I've talked to in detail about it as well, so everybody's understands what's what.